their argument may be Solomon Friedman, they bought it in March of 2023. Okay. So when I'm asking them, when you bought the company, there was a part when I said, okay, you bought the company. Of the things that you said the company has changed, oh, we no longer do that. Oh, we no longer do this. Oh, we no longer do that. Great. How many of the old executives and management team that was there when this was happening are no longer there? That you came in, you clean house, you fired them, and they're still there. What do you know about the old executive team versus a new one?
I thought that was a brilliant question because when they purchased a hastily concocted pop-up private equity firm that called themselves Ethical Capital Partners, purchased a distressed asset in March of 2023.
Right.
That was PornHub and all of its parent, sister sites. Sorry. I want to first of all tell you that PornHub is owned by a parent company that used to be called MindGeek. They recently renamed it to ILO because they're trying to distance themselves from their toxic reputation as peddlers of crime.
Back in the days, it was MindGeek prior to Ethical
Yes.
Partners.
So then they renamed it. But this is a history. This is the trajectory of PornHub from the beginning. So they started out as Mansef. Okay. When their owners got in trouble, they, it was over $6 million.
Mansef, Manwin, MindGeek.
Yes. Then they got in trouble with the law. Then they had to sell it. They sold it to a German entrepreneur named Fabian Tillman, who actually is, one of the people that came forward to help hold PornHub accountable.
Former owner of PornHub.
The former owner of PornHub, Fabian Tillman. He's called the Zuckerberg of porn. So he purchased PornHub, a distressed, Mansef. And then he purchased it, and his vision was to dominate the global porn industry. So what he did, he got a $362 million loan from Colbeck Capital, and he rolled up the entire porn industry under one company that he called Manwin. Manwin dominated the global porn industry.
Fabian Tillman?
Fabian.
Okay.
Exactly.
Please continue. I'm following Manwin.
So Manwin, then he got in trouble. He got arrested for tax evasion. And then he had to sell the company again. So you see a pattern here. So he sold it to CEO and COO Faraz Antoon and David Tassillo, and a man who was the secret majority shareholder that purchased 61% of the site. He was unknown to anybody. He kept his identity hidden for years. We finally exposed him and found him in the midst of the trafficking hub movement to hold them accountable. His name was Bernd Bergmair. And so then he sold it to them, and then it became MindGeek. And then years later, they're in legal trouble. They've been charged by the federal government for knowingly and intentionally benefiting from sex trafficking. They lost Visa, MasterCard, Discover, PayPal, all cut ties with the site because they confirmed it was infested with videos of real sexual crime. They lost all mainstream advertisers and partners. Even KY Jelly and Weed Maps will not advertise on PornHub anymore. They were kicked off. KY
Jelly will not
advertise
on porn.
No, they will not because of what happened, because of the exposure that happened. Okay, and then they got sold again to Ethical Capital Partners, who is now renamed MindGeek, ALO. So you could see a pattern. This is kind of what has happened over the years with PornHub as they get in trouble, they try to rebrand, they get in trouble, they try to rebrand, and now this is the latest iteration.
But when you say that, so what is the pattern? The pattern is who the buyers are, or the pattern is the new people come in and they're turned on by how much traffic these guys are getting and they try to clean it up and nobody can. What is the pattern?
It's not that they can't. They don't want to because of the business model. But I do want to go back to your question because the question was whose heads rolled? Who actually got fired from the company, who left the company. And it was the CEO and the COO, who are the minority shareholders, David Tassillo and Faraz Antoon. Again, two men that had hidden themselves from the public for so many years until they were finally exposed and had to face the public in a parliamentary inquiry in 2021. But they were forced to leave the company. And they're the only ones.
Why were they? Just because when a new
company... because of everything. It was a disaster for them.
What is the background with Faraz Antoon and David Tassillo?
So he was there from the beginning. They were both there from the beginning when it was Mansef. So they were originals, right? From the inception. When PornHub was purchased for $2,000 in 2007 by a man named Matt Keiser, who was part of this original Mansef group. And so they were there from the beginning and they've stayed with the company. They were forced to resign just because there was a tsunami of bad headlines, one after another. It wasn't just the New York Times. Thousands of media articles have been written exposing them. And then it was after the New Yorker did an 8,000-word expose on them that it was the final straw, and they had to depart the company. And then that's when ethical capital came in. But let's ask a question. I mean, you're a businessman, right? So if you're coming in and you're saying, okay, we're going to call ourselves ethical capital, we're going to try to rebrand PornHub and kind of try to kind of resuscitate the brand, what would be the first thing that you would do to be able to legitimately say that you are actually a new company, fresh start? Wouldn't you get rid of all of the people who were complicit in these crimes against children?
Number one, that's the first thing you do.
Clean house, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, they didn't
when
do that.
Elon Musk bought Twitter, let's just kind of use a case study. He bought Twitter at a time where Twitter was censoring, silencing, and doing all the things that America, even election was affected by some of the roles that Twitter played. And then we found out later on that the communication they were having with the White House, Elon buys it. They have 7,500 employees. The next day he fires 50%. They're down to 3,750. The next week, 1,250 quit. So in a week or two, he went from 7,500 employees to 2,250 employees. So first thing you got to do. So I asked the question, who was there? So what percentage of the old employees and executives and directors and VPs that were there prior to ethical partners buying them to now?
Most of them are still, the only ones I'm aware of that are gone are Frost & Toon CEO, the COO, David Tosillo, and then Frank Mancina, who was the CFO.
Did you ever try to talk to those guys or no?
I mean, if you read this, they attacked hard. They were not interested in conversation. They did not want to solve the problem.
Tell us about it.
They wanted to attack those who were raising the problem. Not
In
only
what way?
me,
In what
but
way?
victims. Well, really quick, I just want to finish that point about the executives because I think it's really important to know that today, the same man, I mean, the CPO, Kareem El-Marazi, so he was there from the beginning. He was there. He was promoted by Faraz himself to his position. Matt Kalichi, where we have emails here that were uncovered in legal discovery talking about the way that Matt was discouraging taking down illegal content from the site when they were discovering it.
Can you read one of them, or is that something that can be read?
100%.
Okay.
I mean, it might take time for me to open these up and get those.
I wouldn't mind reading one that says leave the ones underage on there. If you have any of it, I'd like to read it.
So here we go. This is what I want to show you. So this is emails from the CEO.
Okay.
Okay. So this was uncovered in legal discovery. So let's go here. Okay. Here's one. So this is an email exchange between the VPs who are still there.
Is this public record?
This is public record.
Okay, fantastic. So we can show it. So the crew will come afterwards and get the B-roll and show it to the audience as well.
So
go for it.
Here's just one example.
Yeah.
So Serena, the girl that you showed in the New York Times piece.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk about her. So Serena, she was 13 years old when she was sexually abused by being convinced by an older.
Her?
This is Serena
Okay.
Flatus. Yes,
Yep.
she's from Bakersfield, California. So as an innocent young teen, she had a crush on a boy older than her. She was a straight A student. She had never kissed a boy before. And he convinced her to send him some nude images and videos of herself. And she wanted to impress him, so she did. Those videos were shared with classmates. And soon they were uploaded to PornHub, where they were getting millions and millions of views. She would beg for those videos to come down, and either she would be ignored, or when they would respond, they would say, prove that you're underage, prove that you're a victim in this video. And if she did get it down, it would just get re-uploaded, because one of the things that they did was they placed a download button on every single video on PornHub. So, and this is not a download button like on YouTube, where you kind of can watch it later, but you don't possess it. It's a download button where actually you can own on your device. 170 million visitors per day had an opportunity to download and possess her trauma and then re-upload it again and again and again and again. And this sent her on a spiral of despair. She ended up dropping out of school because of being bullied. She got addicted to drugs to try to numb the pain. She tried to kill herself multiple times. It's just amazing that she's even alive today. And then she wound up homeless, living out of a car. Okay? That's Serena. Thankfully today, she's actually suing the literal hell out of PornHub. She's suing the owners by name. She's suing the company. She is suing Visa for monetizing her abuse on the site. And she's suing the hedge funds that funded this whole operation. We could talk about that later. But Serena, so this is Serena's abuse video. I came across her abuse in 2020 on PornHub. It was clear it was abuse. This was one of several videos. The comments indicated that it was abuse. She clearly looked like she was she couldn't be older than 13 or 14, and the video was obvious. At the time, I was in touch with MasterCard's VPs because I was trying hard to get them to demonetize PornHub because I knew that's the Achilles heel of PornHub was credit card companies. I sent the VP her link to her video.
To Visa?
To MasterCard.
To MasterCard, okay.
They sent it to PornHub and said, what is this? They actually said, we received, so the VPs and the CEO were in an email exchange. We received the below referral as suspected child porn located on PornHub with the URL to the video. They clicked on that video. They saw that video. And you know what they did? They debated whether or not they should, what will make us look worse to MasterCard if we take it down or if we leave it up. It wasn't automatically, let's take that down. And they left it up. They left the video up.
For how long?
In the litigation, so in Serena's lawsuit, it says that they left it up, that it didn't come down until the big purge in 2020. That her abuse videos didn't come down until the purge of 2020.
How long is that?
So that would be, so let's see, this happened in May.
Of what year?
Of 2020.
Okay, so December 4th. So let's just say later. So it's 7 months, 6 months.
So they're here saying, can we say it slipped through? Can we, so they're saying, can we say it slipped through? The CEO is saying, can we tell MasterCard that it just slipped through the cracks? They want to know what we do.
Oh, they're communicating amongst each other as employees.
They're saying, what should we do? We're in trouble with MasterCard. They even say, who's sending these videos? The CEO says, I know it's Laila who's doing this. The question from MasterCard is, what did you do to verify her age? And they're talking in these email exchanges saying, we don't do anything to verify age. Because this is the whole way that this started. Since 2007, PornHub became the YouTube of porn, where anybody anywhere in the world could become a pornographer and upload sex videos to the site. And they were not verifying. So I tested this upload process in February 1st of 2020. After I heard the story in the news of that 15-year-old girl, she was from Broward County, Florida. She was missing for an entire year, and she was finally found when her distraught mother was tipped off by a PornHub user that he recognized her daughter on the site. She was found in 58 videos being raped and trafficked on PornHub, okay? I was haunted by that story. I was haunted by another story at the same time where the Sunday Times did an investigation. They found dozens of illegal videos on the site within minutes, even children as young as 3 years old on PornHub. And I was up late one night, and this is in the context of 15 years in the fight against trafficking. And I'm up late, consoling my own newborn who was crying in the middle of the night. And I was thinking about these stories, and I was haunted with a question. How in the world did that abuse end up on PornHub? And I tested the upload system that night, and I found out what millions of people already knew. And that was the crux of the problem. They did not verify. In under 10 minutes, anybody with an email address could anonymously upload content to the site. They were not checking ID to make sure these are not children. They were not checking consent to make sure these are not rape or trafficking victims. And because of that, the site became infested with videos of real sexual crime, including Serena's abuse, including so many victim stories I could tell you.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me, and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape, and he gets recruited to a secret society. Well, when you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time, and they test you. There's unique tests that they have at the society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're gonna enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm gonna put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.